Alright folks, it's turn 25 and I'm suffering something of a crisis of faith, so let's talk this out. So, blood hunting proceeds apace slowly, because I'm having trouble with unrest still. I have really a lot of patrollers here, but it is not quite enough. So, Danfazar is going over there to help patrol down the Weald. Olga is actually moving towards the front. Do I need Olga to be moving towards the front right now? Well, it kind of depends. So, anyway, blood hunting is happening. We have summoned a second vampire, Dr. Acula. So we've got Dr. Acula and Avon P.I. are both moving around to help with the blood hunting situation. I don't think I have any more rods. I do not. So they'll be blood hunting here in the Weald. Welrid has dipped below 4,000 population, which is unfortunate. Calaim still has 6,850, so they're doing fine. Right now, I find myself in a curious situation where I'm not sure whether to carry through with my initial intention. So, like I said, let's talk through it. So I've got Monarch Woods. I'm building a palisade here. I have a very significant army. I'm actually using more supplies than I have, so my troops are beginning to starve in Monarch Woods. And that situation is going to get worse because I'm moving in another 100 units. That said, attempting to fight the undead through this little choke point seems like possibly not a great idea, especially because actually both of these provinces are pretty low on supplies, very unfortunately. So my armies are having pretty significant trouble, really, maintaining themselves. Now, I also have the Order of the Divine Flame over here. The Order of the Divine Flame, we've talked about them. The only thing they have that's really scary is the Polemarchs. The Polemarchs will be a little bit tough for me to deal with. And he has recruited a number of them. He also has, I think he has a couple of Daducos, and then he does have Dryads, so he has assassins available for himself. Troop-wise, he's mainly recruiting Gladiators and Limitani Pramanis, which are, like, Limitani Pramanis are good. They're good, solid soldiers. Prot 18, decent defense skill, good attack, castle defense bonus, all of that stuff. But, they're not incredibly amazing. Defenders are solid. Gladiators are solid, but they go away, of course. So, I'm like, I could win. And he's recruiting a bunch of Colossi Light Infantry as well. So he's got just sort of good generalized troops. In terms of fighting a war, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that I may be in an uncomfortable time where it's a little too late to nip Calaim in the bud, as it were. But it's a little too early for my really solid skeleton counters to be online. Because, like, look, in mid-game, we're researching enchantment level 5, right? We're hitting enchantment level 5, we're going to get Horde of Skeletons, Pale Riders, Flame Ward, Gargoyles for sometimes, all that good stuff. And we can go down to Enliven Statues and Opposition and Rigor Mortis potentially, although Rigor Mortis is going to be quite hard for us to cast, actually, since you have to be a true Death 4 in order to cast it now. But probably after that, I'm just going to go down to Evocation level 4 to pick up Strange Fire. Once I have Strange Fire online, I have actually a pretty solid skeleton counter, which is spam out a ton of Magi and cast Strange Fire and delete 3 squares of undead per round, per caster, which I can absolutely do, especially because Strange Fire is easy to spam. Strange Fire is fatigue 20, it has very long range, so, you know, it wouldn't be a problem. And it's not resistible, so I can hold off large hordes of undead by doing that. It's a lot less useful against Demise, but Elementals are quite useful against Demise. Now, he does have, as I've said, he has the Polemarchs, and the Polemarchs can be, that was the wrong button again, fire resistant. Although he doesn't have much by way of priests. He has Sanguine Anathemats, but I'm not sure he's recruited any. He has Earth Readers, which I'm sure he's recruited some of. And he's got Dryad. So yeah, okay, I take that back. He has priests. He has priest mages. They're not his very best mages. They're not the mages that he's clearly spent a lot of time churning out. So he's got Daducos down over here, and he's got Polemarchs here. I don't know where his other forts are, because I don't have his land thoroughly scouted. But overall, I'm looking at this and I'm going like, well, do I actually want to fight this war against Calaim, though? I mean, I've got Monarch Woods. by spending those 12 assassins to kill off 20-some cultists, I've more or less scared Mechrite, or persuaded Mechrite to acknowledge my claim to Monarch Woods. So he's actually contacted me and offered a non-aggression pact. And I'm looking at that like, well, in the mid and late game, I have pretty decent counters to the things that Calaim does. Like, Calaim has some blood. Calaim has Thaumaturg, so he has the Death Astral Crosspath. Calaim has these Wizard Kings, which are quite powerful, and give him very, very good, very, very wide path access. But he doesn't have the Mummify mechanic, so he can't free spawn, really. These guys can create Supayas, which are flying ghost undead, but as I said, these, I have excellent anti-undead counters. And Achromic Maidens, actually Strange Fire also works okay on Achromic Maidens, because it is armor-piercing damage, and it's not fire. So hitting Achromic Maidens with Strange Fire would actually do damage to them on average. But with the Communion backing it up, so it's doing like 9 or 10 AP. 9 or 10 AP punches through 16 prod. So, you know, that's actually an okay counter to them as well. So I'm sitting here looking at Calaim again like, okay, so considering that I wasn't able to reach them before the skeleton hose turned on and there were a million skeletons everywhere, what am I actually afraid of from them? And the answer is, I'm actually afraid of them attacking me right now. Because if they attack me right now, they'll hit me before I have my counters online. Because I don't have all that many Magi at the moment. I'm just moving into my blood economy. I'm trying not to recruit many troops. I'm actually going to swap these two. I'm going to be recruiting Conjurer there, and then a Magus here. So, considering all that, I think I'm going to keep recruiting Stalkers down there. Conjurer up there, yeah, that's fine. My research is good. 500 research points on turn 25 is solid research. My blood economy is small, but slowly growing. I am forging a couple of Sanguine Dowsing Rods this round. And I have a couple of Vampires going, so I have some Immortal raiding capacity. So given all that, I'm thinking that now might actually be the time to either attack Demise, or shift south and attack Prime, because Prime is already under attack. Like, I know that. I don't know exactly where and how bad, but I do know that Prime is under attack and is suffering pretty significantly. So, picking off some of Prime's northern territories sounds like it could be a really rad idea. I do need to expand. Like, I've spent now at this point too long being this size, so I must grow larger. Like I said, Demise sounds like a pretty good target. Prime seems like a pretty good target, but I'm looking at the 500 skeletons that are up here, right? And I'm going, I might be able to take on 500 skeletons. I would probably lose almost my entire army, and I'm not sure that I would really get much out of it. So, of course, this could also just be me waffling, because I tend to waffle when I'm on the verge of wars. So what I could do, the thing to do if I'm attacking Calaim, is to move these troops up here, ignore the fact that we're going to take even more of a starvation penalty. Just move Tommaso up here, and go in against Sailor's Haven, because this army in total will have about 240 siege strength. That would take several turns to crack this citadel, unfortunately. It would actually take a lot less time to crack Shambhalak. I might be able to take Shambhalak down in 2 turns. But that would also open me up to immediate counterattacks from every skeleton that Calaim has. Plus, I'm sure he has some Dryads waiting to counter-assassinate me. And I don't have a whole lot of backup commanders. So, it's just a difficult situation. It's a difficult situation because every nation in this game is a difficult situation in and of itself. So, you know, we just kind of have to see where that is. The other option here would be to attack Illwinter, which is also a possibility. If we look at Illwinter, where's Illwinter? That's tech rate. Illwinter. So Illwinter's got Windriders, Royal Guard, Downshi. See, Illwinter does not have a very scary maid troop lineup. They do have Babanshi, which are good assassins. They have some blood. They have Diabolists. They've got Inquisitors. They've got Colossi Weavers and Magisters Arcane, so they've got very strong but sort of expensive communions. And then they have Flagrant Tyrants, so they can free spawn heal-up warriors. I don't know that I've seen him doing any of that yet. Mainly I've seen him recruiting a Garthan light crossbows. And he's got Samurai Archers, which aren't very scary. He's got Shibalban Guard, which are not very scary. He's got Royal Guard, which are quite powerful but expensive. And he's got Wind Riders, which are expensive and don't hit super hard, but they do have high prot, so there's that. But they're only 1 per square, so they do tend to get dragged down regardless. So, I'm torn. I'm torn. I've put myself in this situation, I know, and now I'm sitting here waffling because I'm just like, oh no, what should I do? Which way should I turn? And it's just an excellent question. I mean, I'm strongly tempted to turn on Demise just because, on a personal level, I don't like Demise very much. And I know but strategically speaking, that's not a relevant factor. Strategically speaking, the question is, would it be easier to take over part of Demise's territory than it would to take over Illwinter's or Calaim's or Prime's territory? And I don't know. I don't actually have that information right now, but I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to wait 1 more turn. That will let me get up my Demons of Heavenly Fires and my crossbows with Munetaka. It will let me reload up with a few more fire gems. It will let me, unfortunately, it will let me starve for another turn, which is not what I want. So I'm gonna move Hannibal and his elephants out, because that should, I think, save me from starving, because 5 elephants is a lot of food. They're size 6. So, you know, size 6 means they eat more food than normal people. I'll move out Dante as well, just to make double plus sure. And we'll just see, what I can find in the next turn. If I move my assassins down here and find out that, like, Prime is under siege and all this shit is just bonkers, then I'll cancel the non-aggression pact with them and go in against them. Yeah. It's an interesting situation, an interesting position to be in. But in any case, like I said, I'm going to wait. Research is 1 turn away from enchantment level, or 2 turns away from enchantment level 5. After that, we'll want evocation level 4, and then we'll kind of have to reassess. Thaumaturgy, going down Thaumaturgy would be a good way to go, because that would open up Control the Dead, which is an excellent anti-skeleton spell. And going down Alteration also wouldn't be bad, because that opens up lots of great Earth spells, and I have lots of great Earth magic. Maws of the Earth, Iron Warriors, Marble Warriors, etc., etc. All the various Alteration Earth spells. Now, I also have, of course, I have this Staff of Elemental Mastery, which means that with someone like Libar, I can ramp up to Earth 5 very easily. And if I keep Tommaso del Monferrada alive, I can ramp up to Fire 5 very easily. Now, my god, of course, already has some paths, and he'll wake up someday, you know, in about somewhere between 5 and 11 turns, probably. But yeah, so I have that capability. And so I can research up to high-level spells and be able to just cast them out of the box. I'm thinking specifically of Earthblood Deep Well. I can't cast Earthblood Deep Well right out of the box, but if I forge a Bloodstone, I will be able to. And racing up to enchantment level 7 to cast Earthblood Deep Well might be a very interesting strategy. My Earth income is not super high, but my research is really good. So if I were to do that, then I might be able to snake Earthblood Deep Well before Calaim can get it with their 5 base Earth income. And that would be a very, very interesting situation, because Earthblood Deep Well is super valuable. Now, And of course, I do have, like, I have plentiful bloodstone access. I mean, I can empower people in blood with my slaves that I'm getting from blood hunting multiple provinces and just roll on with it. Esquania and Dragon Ridge definitely going to be pulling into the blood hunting network pretty quickly. As soon as I get some sanguine dousing rods going on. Ilvin's moving over there to take some troops to them. We saw that already. In any case, thanks for watching. I'll see you in turn 26 when I'll make my final call, whether I'm going in against Calaim or not. I'm a little bit worried that I've caught myself at exactly the wrong time. I've messed up my own tempo. I didn't have everything that I needed in place to launch the attack immediately, and I'm not yet at my power peak against skeletons, which is actually right after I hit evocation level 4. I've hit enchantment level 4, which is a good power peak, but in order to maximize it, I need to wait probably 2 or 3 more turns to hit evocation level 4, and I then need to deploy a pretty significant communion of magi. I'll want 4 slaves, and then 5 or 6 masters, all spamming Strange Fire. And one of them will want to cast Power of the Spheres to buff up... In any case, I can buff up Astral fairly significantly to make sure that it doesn't cost me much to cast that, because Strange Fire is Astral primary. So yeah, if I have 4 slaves, all of my masters are Astral 3, so it's down to 10 fatigue. Then I have the fatigue for the slaves again, then it's 5, and then they're only taking 1 per cast. I can do that for a very long time. So that would be the setup for the Strange Fire's communion. And that communion could easily delete, 50 to 100 skeletons in the course of a battle. I just have to make sure that I have enough stuff to block up, or more for that matter, because everyone could theoretically delete 9 skeletons per round per mage. I just have to make sure that I have the stuff to block up the skeletons while that happens, and I have counters to the magic that they will deploy against me, in particular, counters to the assassins. So to counter the assassins, I would need, and actually no matter who I attack, in order to counter the assassins, I'm going to need indie commanders and stalkers. Oh, it's just kind of a mess. This kind of a game is just inherently sort of a mess. Why are you two moving? Oh yeah, you two are moving over there to ferry blood slaves around. That's fine. Okay, in any case, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all in turn 26, and I'll make the call then. So we'll just see how we go. In the meantime, Tommaso, you can search for magic sites. Make yourself useful. Next time. Okay, it's turn 27. I played last turn, and I meant to record it, but when I played the turn, of course, it ticked over. So my plan at that point was to go into my local copy and record the video from there, and unfortunately I forgot and loaded up the game again, which overwrote the local copy. So, no video there. Nothing particular happened. Moving vampires around and such. We did have a stalker discovered and killed in Old Land, so that's right down here. We've got Avon P. Iyer and Dr. Acula, both 2 vampires, both helping blood hunt in the Weald. We are summoning a 3rd, so the vampire train is a rollin'. We've now got 3 pretty solid blood hunting provinces going on, and we should be able to pump out a vampire every turn or so for a while, especially once we get some blood hunting going on in Dragon Ridge as well. We're forging 2 sanguine dousing rods per round, and so these guys will head out from Terram, head into Dragon Ridge, and blood hunt there as well. In terms of patrolling, we'll be patrolling with Burgmeister Guard or Militia or what have you. We don't have a whole lot of resources anywhere except in our forts, so I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to cancel these guys and just replace them with Militia. So those Militia will head up to Dragon Ridge and help with the patrolling there. Now, you may notice I've shifted my recruitment. I'm starting to recruit Seos. And the reason, or Saoi, I suppose, Saoi, I'm going to call them Saoi. The reason I'm recruiting Saoi is because I'm backstabbing Demise. By which I mean, we don't have a non-aggression pact, at least not that I remember. Hold on, let me double check. I'm worried now. Yeah, we never made a non-aggression pact. Okay, sorry, I just got struck by paranoia. I have made a non-aggression pact with Calaim because of my feelings expressed earlier about it being too late to stop them effectively, but too early for my great counters to be online en masse. I think that's accurate. I think that my best shot here is actually to turn on Demise, which I think I can do fairly effectively. So, this army has 335 siege strength, It's moving over here to Amphalia, and it should bust Amphalia in one turn. He's got a couple Polemarchs inside. Polemarchs are going to be a little bit challenging to handle, but not unstoppable, especially because we can summon fire elementals. Tommaso del Monferrada is going to stay here for a turn, and we are also going to need to deploy some mages pretty soon. We're going to hit Evocation level 4 next turn, which will give us Strange Fire. After that, we're going to grab Enchantment level 6. Enchantment level 6 will give us Heat from Hell, Arrowfend, Enlivened Statues, Opposition, potentially Rigor Mortis if we can ramp up to it. Lots of pretty good stuff. And then we'll go down Thaumaturgy to get Soul Slay, which will also be a pretty good counter to Polemarchs. He's pumping out a lot of Polemarchs. I don't think he can have magic resistance gear on all of them, so Mass Soul Slay will work as a counter to those guys. He's got a lot of them, so the interesting thing will be, those Polemarchs, I mean, he's got like, I don't know how many that is, 10, 15, 20, 25 maybe, something like that. It's not 25. Actually, I mean, it could theoretically be 25. But he's got a lot. And those Polemarchs can serve as kind of a thug army, which I think is the idea behind what he's done here. He's got the Citadel, he's got the Polemarchs, he's going to try to use them as an army of thugs. And he's got 2 Polemarchs in here. The Polemarchs make assassinations very, very dangerous, because, of course, they're not going to die to Stalkers. You have to have your Stalkers kitted out pretty hardcore in order to kill a Polemarch. So using assassination in those areas is just pretty dangerous. The other thing that I could do, of course, is I could just go down to Evocation level 5 to get Gifts from Heaven. Gifts from Heaven will kill Polemarchs, but it will also do a lot of friendly fire. And so will Shadow Blast, actually, potentially. So I'll tell you what. Let's hit Evocation 5, then Enchantment, and then Thaumaturgy. Okay, so that's fine. So, this army's rolling in. This army has the 27 Demons of Heavenly Fires, it has the 113 Crossbowmen, and then it has a little bit less than 100 Burgmeister Guard. I've deployed some of them as guards for my Uchigamis, just to try and make sure the Uchigamis don't get killed. Second wave, we've got Gathering up here, also has about like another 60 or so Burgmeister Guards, some other random assorted infantry, a few chariots, and 17 more crossbows. That will be led by Tommaso del Monferrada, and then we've got more troops that will be rolling up shortly thereafter. Back to the Saoi. The reason I'm recruiting Saoi is because for fighting Polemarchs, I think they can do the trick, because of course they've got my Strength +4, Attack +2 Bless, which pushes them up to 19 damage. And then on top of that, I can drop Strength of Giants on them. Since those two are different buffs, they do stack, which means that I can push Saoi up to 19 Strength, which means that they're hitting for 23, 24 damage. Actually, I can push them up to 20 Strength, I'm sorry, because when blessed, they go Berserk, and that gives them another +1 Strength. So I can have them hitting for 24 damage, and half the time it's piercing. That's enough to punch through Polemarch protection. And so Saoi can potentially kill Polemarchs if I mass up a bunch of them. So we're recruiting the maximum number of Saoi possible out of my capital, out of Vepetre. We're not recruiting any troops up there, but we are also recruiting Saoi out of the Merc. So we've got 18 Saoi per turn coming out, and we'll be able to concentrate them up towards this area pretty soon. This initial thrust into Amphalia might be stopped by Demise, might be pushed back by the massive Polemarchs. Kind of depends on what he does, but once I get a bunch of Saoi into the mix, I think I'll be able to stop him pretty effectively. My troops counter his troops fairly well. The Saoi should counter his Polemarchs okay, if I can get critical mass at least. In order to bless efficiently, I am going to have crystal matrices on some... For one thing, I'm going to need dwarven hammers. So let's forge a pair of earth boots while I'm thinking about it. And we're also going to summon another Ujigami. We need crystal matrices on Ujigamis, and we need to have a few communion slaves to boost them up to Holy 3, which will require 4 slaves. So we'll need to deploy a Magus Communion. The reason for that is that the Ujigami needs to cast Divine Blessing instead of the Standard Bless, so that he hits all the Saoi at once. If you bless them piecemeal, they go Berserk piecemeal, they charge in piecemeal, and they get surrounded and wiped out in large battles. But if you have a big old line of those guys and you cast Divine Blessing so they all go Berserk at once and move together, I think that will be highly effective. Because stat-wise, they're honestly not terrible. And especially with my strength +4 and plus attack bless, plus the fire resistance, which means I can mix in fire elementals with them without worrying about it. This bless will, I think, make them very, very dangerous. Now, they will die, of course, so you kind of want to have other chaff to absorb hits for them. But for taking out giants, I think the Saoi will work very well. I hope, anyway. So, we're going in against Demise. Gonna contact Mechrite. I've been talking to Mechrite and gonna see if he wants to come in with me, just to make sure that Demise doesn't get to fight back too effectively. Although, to be honest, actually, no, never mind. I'm gonna try to take Demise down alone. I need to practice my one-on-one battle scripting and tactics and planning all of that, so I think it's time for me to do that. And since I do have a couple of vampires and another vampire coming out, and of course they fly and have high map move, they can zip across. They can't cross the lake, unfortunately, but if I don't need them blood hunting, they can move across and perform flying deep strike raids just by throwing Skelespam, because I have enchantment 5, so I can cast Skelespam. I can also cast Pale Riders to reinforce my armies. I would need a Skull Staff for that, which I only have one of right now, but I can forge another Skull Staff without too much trouble. My Death Gem income is pretty decent. So in fact, I think I'll just go ahead and do that. I'm going to forge a Skull Staff right now. And with that Skull Staff, I can cast Pale Riders, and I can get Long Dead Horsemen, who are cheap, efficient chaff with a good charge attack, so they can be pretty useful as well. The Savaran Guard might give me a little bit of a problem. I don't think he's recruited too many Dryads. He probably has some, but I don't know that he has all that many. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this place under siege. We're then going to launch some assassinations just to see if we can get the Marshmaster dead. If all he's got is a couple of Polemarchs and some Colossi Light Infantry and Savaran Guard, I think we can take the place, if only by spamming crossbow shots at him. But we're going to have to move kind of fast, because those Polemarchs will be moving in to attack us, and I would much rather have those guys trapped outside a fort trying to siege me down than I would have them inside a fort defending it, where my troops have to kind of crush up. But yeah, I think I can take them, especially if we get the... Especially if we get Strength of Giants on the Burgmeister Guard, so they go up to 15 and pierce half the time. They have a lot of attack density, so mixing Burgmeister Guard with Saoi, I think will allow those high damage hits to slip through and nail the Polemarchs. So, that is the plan. I may be launching this war a little bit prematurely, just because I don't have a whole lot of mages in place. And, like, next turn, I'm going to have to deploy a Magus Communion, carrying a whole bunch of gems. I bet he has fire resistance in his bless, if nothing else. So, fire elementals may not be the perfect way to do this, but I'm hoping that I can manage to see his bless before I have a huge climactic battle. Because flaming arrows I'm planning to deploy, which will help me, and but not with the Burgmeister Guard getting shot if he has fire resistance. And of course, I also have the Demons of Heavenly Fires, who are also fairly reliant on fire damage. Now, when they're blessed, their strength goes up to 22. So their Flaming Fists and their Flaming Wheels both do very, very good damage at that point, and the Flaming Wheel is armor piercing. So even through fire resistance, a 22 damage Flaming Wheel will do some work. Even if they do have like fire resistance 10 on their Polemarchs, the Flaming Wheels will still be doing, effectively 12 AP damage, which is essentially the same as a solid crossbow hit. But we'll just kind of see. If he didn't take fire resistance, then I think I'm going to fucking roll him. If he did, then, we'll see how it goes. But in any case, that's the turn. I'll see y'all in turn 28. Also, so Prime. Prime here has been under siege for quite some time. It doesn't look like this army is really spreading out, but I am going to contact Prime and be like, hey, by the way, how's things going? You look kind of dead. I'm not interested in letting the Blood Boys take all your territory. So I'm going to see if he'll let me take, like, 117 and these guys up there. If he won't, then I may just cancel our non-aggression pact, because let's be honest, he's had the Blood Boys on his capital for so long, I don't think he's going to recover from this particularly. Prime's capital only is the Fomorian King. They do have Dryad Mothers. They have Druids, Scrati, She-Lords. Those are all good mages. Like, Sithkona are the stars of the show here. Sithkona are incredibly good mages. But I don't know about this. Really don't know about Prime winning this fight. But in any case, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all in turn 28. Alright, folks, turn 28, and if we look at our messages, we see our battle in Amphalia, which was a little unfortunate, actually, because I'm dumb. I did the same thing that I've done before, which is I put units with heat auras way too close to my other troops. I thought they would be a little bit further back, but they were not. They were way too close. And as a result, they burned a whole bunch of crossbowmen to death. But we'll talk about that in a minute. We've got an adept of the Iron Order here. We've got our two Ujigami spread out along the line. We've got our front line of Burgmeister Guard. Over here, we've got a small cluster of patrolling troops led by the Purifier, the Prophet, who is a polemarch. An extra tough polemarch because he is the Prophet. So he gets the Prophet bonus to his attack and defense. He's auto-blessed, and here we can see the Bless, and the Bless does not include fire resistance, which is good. He has 15 shock resist, 15 cold resist, reinvigoration, magic resistance, and blood surge, which is a pretty heavy Bless, but it does not include fire resistance, which is great news. Polemarchs can buff themselves with fire resistance, and they can cast Temper Flesh, which gives them more fire resistance. But in order to actually resist my fire damage, he'll need more than that. His Savarans have 15 fire resistance. I'm a little bit more concerned about that, but still not super concerned by it, and I'll show you why. We start casting our spells and our buffs and all that stuff. We drop Strength of Giants as well as the Blessing. So now we have this Demon of Heavenly Fires. He's blessed with Strength +4. He has Strength of Giants on him. As a result, actually he doesn't even have Strength of Giants on him. He's only Strength 22. There's one that has Strength of Giants on him. That makes him a total of Strength 26, which means his Flaming Wheels are hitting for 26 armor-piercing fire damage. So those Savaran Guard, even the Savaran Guard, the ones who have built-in 15 fire resistance, and 20 protection, even they are actually still taking damage on average from the Flaming Wheels, because the Flaming Wheels hit so hard and are armor-piercing. His regular Turan infantry are taking effectively 16 AP damage against 13 prot, or 16 damage versus 7 prot, basically. So they're still getting hit pretty hard. Now, as I said, unfortunately, I am setting all my own crossbowmen on fire. It's a problem. But yeah, you can see the Flaming Wheels are actually fairly effective. And then the crossbow bolts go in, aiming for the Savaran Guard, not really hitting much just because I don't have the true critical mass of crossbows. Do kill one of the Savaran Guard there. The Turan infantry come on in, and then the flaming bolts of Fiery Justice start hitting them as well. Now, I do take quite a few friendly fire casualties here among the Burgmeister Guard, because even with their shield, the shield plus the plate cuirass is still only 30 prot, so 15 effective armor against that 26 damage hit, which means, yeah, I'm causing friendly fire. But the Purifier has routed with 27 hit points remaining. Does he get another hit on the way out? He does not. Okay, so we win the fight. We take a lot more casualties than we should, mainly because I burn a whole bunch of crossbows to death, and that's a problem. I also burn a commander to death, which is a problem, but we'll deal with that as we come. We wiped out the province defense. We killed all 3 Savaran Guard. The polemarch got away. The walls and Amphalia are critically damaged, and we're moving in more troops. So, as we move in our more troops, we'll end up in a formation like this. We've got Tommaso. By the way, I need to see. Can I rename him? Yes, I can. Okay. There we go. So we've got George Washington, the Witch Hunter General. He's leading in crossbows. He's got 61 more Burgmeister Guard, as well as some chariots, some random chaff infantry, and a guard on him. We've moved these guys down into a blob down here, surrounded by people who are resistant to fire. George Washington has some built-in fire resistance. The Ujigami don't have built-in fire resistance, but they are ethereal and have high prot, so they're not really affected by the flames. They're nearby so that they can cast buff spells. And Libar is right behind them. Actually, Libar should be up here. I want him spamming Strength of Giants on my general troops, I guess. Well, the extra 4 damage there would matter. Let's put him kind of in the middle, so that he can hopefully hit either with Strength of Giants. And his job is just to throw a whole bunch of Strength of Giants. That is his job. And hopefully we'll get Strength of Giants. I need to get more Strength of Giants casters so that I can blanket the whole army with it. But I just don't have them right now. George Washington is casting Flaming... Flaming Arrows won't matter in this case very much, because it won't help the crossbows all that much. So instead, he'll just... George Washington here will just be summoning Fire Elementals. And he's down here, so he's summoning Fire Elementals there to back up the chariots, who are set to attack rear. We've got our lines of infantry. All told, we've got about 120 Burgmeister Guard, and then we've got a little over 100 crossbows still. So we should, I think, be able to take that fort. Now, of course, all these polemarks might come in against us. We are building up troops to counteract the polemarks, but we don't have them in place quite yet. So we've got Sanetomo here, and Sanetomo needs a hat. We're forging a Helmet of Heroes for him. And can we also get a Herald Lance? That requires Astral level 2. So Pud could build us a Herald Lance. Pud, why don't you build us a Herald Lance? That enables Solar Rays, which is also, well, it's only AoE 1, so it's probably not particularly better than my Bless, but it's not resistible. So yeah, forge a Herald Lance. We'll give that to Sanetomo as well. He's going to go down here and pick up a bunch of Seos. And we're going to have him move upwards. Now, I've got this Warrior Mage. I happen to have a Sword of Sharpness, so I was looking at the possibility of setting up a Warrior Mage with a Sword of Sharpness in order to try and counter-thug against polemarks. I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't think that'll work very well, to be honest. I don't think that'll be super efficient. It is armor-piercing damage. He would hurt a polemark very badly if he attacked them, because they would be, you know, they're prot 30 once they've been buffed up, so they'd be effectively 15 prot versus 22 AP damage. But then they'll also be able to cast Temper Flesh, and he doesn't have the hit points and protection to really survive against them, is the main problem. So they'll counterattack, and Zanbarth will get owned. Now he can cast Iron Skin on himself, which will push his prot up close to 30. But I don't think being up close to 30 will actually save you from a polemark. Because if we look here, this guy, now he's the Prophet, but he's doing 29 piercing damage. So effectively that would end up being 29 versus about 22, 23 protection. So he'd be punching pretty hefty damage right through that armor. It would not be a good look. It would not be a good scene. I don't think using Warrior Mages as polemark counter thugs is super efficient, just because polemarks are actually pretty good thug chassis and Warrior Mages are very, very marginal thug chassis. I should get a couple more Warrior Magi, but for right now, I'm spreading some assassins down south. We can see the Blood Boys are really trying to besiege Prime down. They're not seeming to have a whole lot of luck, but they've got a lot of Seir and a lot of Eagle Warriors. A lot of Hellblessed Sacreds. It's a problem. It's an issue. Got some more scouts over here in the Sacreds of Hell kind of area. Looks like Ralala and them might still be skirmishing. And I'm hoping... I've contacted Prime again, and basically I'm asking, like, how's it actually going? Like, do you have a realistic chance of winning this? Because I don't want Blood Boys getting all your territory. I would much rather get some of that myself. Ideally, of course, he'll win, but can't guarantee that. We've got enough magic now for my mages to be pretty significantly helpful in battle. So we're going to hurt our research here a little bit because we're going to deploy a significant chunk of magi into battle. So our research did just dip by 100 points, but 12 mages, I might actually send more than 12 mages. 15 mages will be a very, very significant boost to our power. They can summon fire elementals, or they can, and fire elementals actually are a great counter to polemarks. I've proven that myself. If polemarks don't have fire resistance, even if they do have a small amount of fire resistance, fire elementals still beat them up because the flame strike is AoE 1, so it's undodgeable, defense score doesn't matter, and it's AP. So it cuts right through their prot, even if they have quite high prot. I've seen that happen to me. So fire elementals, potentially earth elementals that can trample them, and also just casting regular old combat spells. We'll be able to cast, of course, mass amounts of Strength of Giants. We'll be able to cast mass amounts of Legions of Steel. We're hitting Evocation level 5 very soon, so we'll be able to cast Gifts from Heaven and Falling Fires. There'll be lots and lots of good stuff going on. So yeah, Evocation level 5. It'll take 2 turns, I guess, if we're moving this many mages. But that's fine. 2 turns, we'll still have it right before we go into combat, and that will be great. And our Palisade here will be done in 1 turn, and after that we'll start recruiting troops here in Monarch Woods, which we should be able to do fairly easily. Down here we've got Alucard, who is sneaking north carrying a Skull Staff so that he can use Death Gems to pump out some long dead horsemen for flanking use. And we are casting Rites of Immortality again to summon yet another Vampire Lord. Avon Pyre and Dr. Acula are just down here site searching for now. Our blood income was over 50 last turn, so we're ramping up into a respectable blood economy. And we're moving down these two gentlemen to start blood hunting in Dragon Ridge. Now, to make that efficient, we need a whole bunch of militia. Esden's site is building the Citadel. Vano was moving over there. Yeah, I guess I do need somebody to go over there to... Okay, so... Yeah, that's fine. So Vano will go over there. These militia, led by that commander, will head up to Dragon Ridge in order to start patrolling there. Patrolling is going on here, and that's fine. We've got a bunch of more militia and crossbows over here that I'm not recruiting any more of. 15 Magi moving out. Okay, that should be fine. I need to get some of these peasant thralls moved around. Oh yeah, and Hermobol has 23 units, so he'll actually pick up those militia, move up to Dragon Ridge to be the patroller for Dragon Ridge, which will have 3 or 4 blood hunters on it. And yeah, we should be able to ramp up the blood economy pretty well. Dragon Ridge and Esquania, the Weald, Welrid, and Hailmire. And I think we'll be in pretty good shape. So, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all in turn 29.